episode one. Yeah, drum roll, drum rolls. It's officially our episode
Yeah,
one of Uncut and Uncensored.
yeah,
So we are officially 18.
yeah.
Yay! So like this is episode one, and we're starting off episode one with a hot topic, which is guilty pleasures or simple pleasures you judge yourself for. The title was too long, so I could not put the rest of it here. But um, basically, it's like pleasure has so much contradictions here.
Uh-huh.
Pleasures have so much contradictions, and I think it's because of um our enjoyment of it. It seems as if enjoyment needs to be qualified,
Uh-huh.
categorized, and to make sure for it to be pleasure, you know, we have to be aware if it's hurting somebody else. It's like we cannot even center ourselves in pleasure, you know.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
with me today is my co-host, Ifu. My name is King. I am an alien, and I have Ifu here with me, and we're going to have fun in today's chat. So send in your conversation topics, send in your tips, send in, your ideas, your contributions in the chat. I want to see them, want to hear them, want to address them, as much as is possible. Okay. We've not set a time limit for our show yet. So we're just going to be going with the vibes, with the flow, see how it feels. Maybe when my battery is almost dead. My battery almost dead, then I would not off it because I'm using my I'm running two phones down for this thing, man. So anyway, send in your
Uh-huh.
conversation, your ideas, we want to hear it. So something very interesting that I want to talk about today is guilty pleasures, and I mentioned guilty pleasures because I was actually thinking about hello Alex. Hello Alex, welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining us here today. I am with a co-host, Ifu. Ifu is my co-host. She's joining
Hi.
us. This is our show. She's going to be here audio only, so that we can have a more
Uh,
immersive experience. For now, maybe later to be expanded. But for now, we're just going to be doing audio with Ifu. And as far as she's comfortable, she's going to share everything she has. This is uncut and this is uncensored. Okay, so we're not going to be censoring a lot of things to make logical sense. We're going to be going with our own thought process here. Okay, so don't
uh,
be afraid to also share your thoughts in the comments, in the chat. I would love to see them. So we're talking about guilty pleasures here, and I was
uh-huh.
saying something about how, like, I was talking about how there are some things I do that I watch on YouTube here that feel so.
Uh,
I have so much fun watching them, yeah. But when
uh-huh.
I want to interact with those videos on my channel, like I want to make reaction videos to them, for example, I feel guilt because it's like, what will people think if I'm participating in this thing? Even though like it's a very big niche. It's not a niche, but it's a very big chunk of the type of content
Uh-huh.
on YouTube as a platform, yeah. But it's like if I do
Yeah.
that kind of thing, like what will people say about me? You know, like and I've not tried
Uh,
it. I can't even say it out because I feel so shy about it. But like it's something I really care for, and I feel like I want to
uh,
contribute, in that sector of YouTube or whatever, yeah. So that's why
uh,
I was talking to my friend, like I was talking to Ifo, and Ifo was like, "What do you mean by guilt? Like I don't understand. Like you explain what you mean by you don't
yeah.
understand guilty pleasures. Like why don't you understand
Yeah.
the term guilty pleasures?"
Genuinely, I don't understand even the genesis or the reason for the word guilty and pleasure. Like, how do you put those two words in one sentence?
Yeah,
Just
hey,
like
Alex.
guilty, like something that was pleasurable or something that you find pleasure in it. Why should guilt also arise from it? So it like the two things is not even a contradiction. It's not like oxymoron. For me, it doesn't sound like one of these mysteries to solve. It's just flat doesn't make any sense.
But like, what about the I don't know. I feel like my own is coming from like a lot of like it's rooted in religious trauma. That was what we call it because
I think that's the part
yeah,
where I didn't complete my statement on my conversation because it doesn't make sense. You get it? In my head, it doesn't make sense.
yeah.
Then I ask the question, why? Why does it even exist that there are some things that gives you pleasure and guilt?
Feels you
Is
with
it
guilt.
afterward? Is it does the guilt? Then I start to ask: does the guilt come after the pleasure, or is it during the pleasure, or before the pleasure?
I think it happens like concurrent. Like some people have the guilt like before they even indulge. They have the experience of guilt in the middle of the indulging, and then some people experience it like they can push the guilt to after the indulging is done. Yeah, that they feel guilty afterwards, and like this can spread
Yeah.
across plenty things. In fact, every part of our human experience, I feel like there's guilt attached to like natural human experiences, natural human curiosities. And I think that guilt is learned basically. I'm fine, Amber,
It's
Amber.
conditioned.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is conditioned, to be honest. Um,
Yeah.
it's conditioning. And like I can't just say religion because a lot of cultures free of religion, like even before religion, used guilt and shame to
Guilt.
control groups, to
Yeah.
control their groups, to control hierarchy, to
Yeah.
determine resource sharing and like connection, all of that.
Yes.
But like when we come
Yes.
to our very front and center society right now, the internet, of the things we watch on our phone, the things we indulging in our phones, maybe the type of movies we watch, type of music we listen to. Okay, example is like when I was very deep in religion, I used to feel guilty listening to secular music. But I had to listen to secular music. I had to listen to secular music because what do you mean? Like that period, what was I listening to? As a child, yeah, I had no like my parents, my church did not really enter my head that you cannot listen to, let's say, all those R&B legends of the time. And then when I was not a teenager and church was such a big thing to me, so not like so I have to drop all of those fun. Do you get because it's bad? Like asking to God's music where they say God and Jesus Christ. You get that kind of thing. And it's like so I made a whole playlist of songs. I wouldn't delete them from my phone yet, but I made a whole playlist. Like I made a whole playlist of songs on my phone that when the stress is so much, I'll just listen to the music. And it's like I'm already stressed and I already feel bad about myself. Let me just indulge in my guilty pleasure. And I think that guilt aspect of it becomes its own chain, tying you to that pleasure. And if you want to think
Yeah.
about it, I think we can also address the elephant in the room, which is porn. You get, I don't know, this is not for
Yeah.
children, please. Okay, but like when people watch when people watch porn, yeah, there's a lot of guilt attached to it. It doesn't matter the gender, the age range, there's a lot of guilt attached to it. And I'm not talking about like children now, that's a different case. I'm talking about like full grown adults that
Yeah.
want to explore their sexuality and something, and then they're like, I don't know what this is about. Let me go online and check. And they are introduced to porn and sex workers and all of that kind of categories of things. But like, I feel this thing that they now created this whole term called like porn addiction. You get like porn addiction is ruining young men's lives, it's ruining young women's life, and it's like I don't think that's what is actually ruining their lives. Like what exactly is an addiction? You get why is an
Right.
addiction an addiction? I think is stemming
Right.
from the existence of guilt in the first place. I feel like I don't know, but like what does Ifu think about this whole thing that I said so far, like porn and exploring porn but feeling a lot of guilt and then it's turning into an addiction and all of that? Like what does that even how does that register?
Okay. Who says an addiction? Okay. Let's start. Let's start with something. Something simple.
Okay.
I have a question. The first one is, what do you think happens to the lion when the lion kills a gazelle? When he attacks, kills a gazelle and eats the gazelle, what does the lion feel?
Pleasure now, obviously. Pleasure and
Yeah.
satisfaction.
would you imagine, would you think for a minute that the lion feels guilty?
No, never. Never.
Okay. Okay, and why wouldn't the lion feel guilty? This lion just killed a gazelle. You killed another animal in the forest.
I
I
don't.
have another question.
Okay.
What do you think the goat feels? The goat, goat man.
Yeah.
What do you think the goat feels when he eats grasses?
I don't think he feels anything more than satisfying his hunger.
So, now let's bring back to where I think sometimes I like to explore like the layers of all of it so that it can make sense where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Now the question is, guilt. Guilt is not one of those things that sort of come natural to us. How do I know that?
Yeah. Oh.
When a baby, like babies, yeah. For example, the ones that wear diaper.
Yeah.
Some of them, when you remove the diaper, the moment you remove the diaper, that's when they pee on you.
Yes. And those
What do you
sprays.
think baby feels? They will just. What do you think that baby feels at that moment?
I think relief, joy, or something.
I have another question, another one. So let's say this baby now has grown up to be like 1 year, 18 months, thereabout, and the baby is learning to walk around the house, and this baby is now running, like not running, but walking, taking all those baby steps around the house, and your $1,000 vase broke. Like this baby just pushed the glass or the vase. What do you think the baby feels?
I don't think babies think of anything more than, oh, why is this thing in my way? Like pass around there and continue playing. Like ordinary babies, their first thoughts they'll just be like, oh, okay, something happened. Then they just keep walking, like they keep playing or whatever.
Good. So that tells us something deep. That you see, the whole idea of guilt does not it by itself. It's not something that is inherent in the human being. It's something that is learned. And let's say again that guilt comes with a lot of guilt. Is imagine that it's something you feel internally, like it's yours, right? Like it's one of those things that is yours. It's coming out from you. It's not like you're making a judgment of something from inside of you.
Yeah.
But if you look at it very deeply, you see that guilt is not coming from inside of you. Guilt is coming from outside of you. And a lot of guilt is actually a type of shame.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I agree with that.
And shame is not coming from inside of you. Shame is coming from outside. But also, it's not one day. It's not just like one day you tried something and then that's it. You start to feel guilty of it. It is consistent over time, insistent that something should not be. That something should not be. And the thing with shame or guilt is that it's not conceptual. It's not just the idea that is a mental thing existing in the clouds of emotion, It's not. It has a physical connotation. It does damage to the brain cell.
Oh, how?
Yes, like literally. It's not even like this is like literally.
Explain how it does damage to the brain cells, like literally.
You know that in order to form, like if your brain is forming new learning new skills or forming new ideas or working around, so it creates new synapse that connect to each other to make new connection. This new connection helps the brain hold the new skill or create new skill. And so the more skill or the more use of your brain, the more in the brain cell is called the convolution of the brain, like the rigor of the brain cell itself. The more you have it means the person has more use, have made use of the brain more capacity, right?
Mm.
So the shame itself, what shame itself does is to sort of block.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Uh-huh. Okay, so I know that it's important for us to say something that is at least true, something we've seen as true, yeah?
Yeah.
So there is this, I had to go and check. If you check, there have been studies on the neuroscience of shame.
Okay.
But there's also this interesting study, one second, this study was done, The Harmful Power of Shame.
Okay. By who? What's the name of the work? Like, who are the people that worked on that?
Yeah, like 4 people who I can share the link with you.
Okay, share the link with me. I can put it in the description later on.
Okay. So the summary of it is that shame is a pervasive, multidimensional emotion influencing brain, body, and social life. While shame can foster accountability, it is toxic. Its toxic forms: drive, stigma, withdrawal, mental illness. We call for that's the summary they have in this particular study. Hold on, I'll share the link. There's also another study. Like there've been studies around, shame. Is not they are not just neutral. It's not that you are feeling something so-called emotionally, but something is also happening to your, mental
abilities,
your
cognitive abilities,
mental development.
Okay.
Even your capacity to respond to something at that moment also is affected by that impact.
Neuroscience of Shame, cpatsdfoundation.org. This CPTSD, like you see that it's like it's kind of there's a kind of implication because where does a human being learn shame from? When does a human being learn shame and guilt? Is it not from being a child? Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that very convenient. If it's so called inherent, why is it that children cannot go to full adulthood without then when you now become an adult, you now so called
not inherent.
Yeah, it's not inherent. Children learn shame. It's always children learning shame. But continue what if you should continue their thought process.
Okay. So if you were saying, that there are already studies showing the physiological impact of shame and guilt. So if we talk about shame, we talk about guilt, we're still saying very similar thing.
Right.
So, and 1 second, I'll send you this last link so that I can continue my thought process. So you can already see I've sent you like 4 links here.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
I've gotten it.
Okay. So they are not. There is not just this harmless emotional feeling.
Hmm.
It has, implication. And then the question now remains: if it's not inherent, it means that it's conditioned and it's learned. One of those learned behavior, right?
Yeah.
And wait, where was I going with this again? Okay, so I wanted to point out. Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
continue.
I wanted to point out that the whole idea of guilty pleasure, or okay, you were asking something about where does it even come, especially with porn, for example. And the the one of the thing surrounding porn is bigger than porn. It's not just about the porn itself.
Right.
Getting a lot of guilt. We have to start with the human sexuality.
Right. Right.
The conditioning around sex and sexuality. That where that one, the origin of it, first of all, it's so weird because our conditioning refuses to acknowledge what we are as humans. I don't know what is trying to do with it, what they are trying to do with it, or what they try to do with it, because it makes absolutely no sense. And that's why I asked the question. I said, if a lion eats a gazelle, what does the lion feel? If a goat eats grass, what does goat feel? Right?
Yeah.
And the deeper question around these hush topics like sex and sexuality, look into our education.
Yeah.
What is our sex education like?
Uh-oh.
I mean, for those people who had sex education, what was it like? What was taught? And there is this, sometimes I don't know, genuinely, I don't know if it's the like if we have this hidden kink for secrecy, not secrecy per se, but this thing of do it in the hiding. Don't talk about it.
Right.
Because if we don't talk about it, then it won't come into their awareness. But how are you saying you will not talk about the eating of gazelle to lions, to cubs, because you don't want it to come into their awareness? Meaning that there is some level of denial of what is. But you see, the thing around sex and sexuality, when it comes to the conditioning of human beings, is deeper. It has the implication, the deeper implication of what the neglect, I don't know if it's intentional neglect of the place of the body,
right,
in our existence. Yes, the body has been villainized so much so that everything connecting to the body is dangerous. So therefore, every aspect of the body becomes something, I don't know, to be controlled, something that is not taken into account.
Always pathologized.
Yes, exactly. So as human being, of course, when you talk about sex and sexuality, there are people who who are asexual, so they do not experience like sexual arousal and all of that, and it's on a spectrum. We know that.
Yeah.
And there are the large part of humans who are sexual. And you see, being sexual or sexuality is not something that if you don't talk about it, if you don't talk about it, then it won't happen. It will disappear. No. Whether you talk about it or you don't talk about it, it will happen. Right. So the question, the thing there is now, is how do we then present it so that we understand it? And look at, even if we look around, we'll see I've not even started to speak about the dangers of, organized religion and, cultures when it comes to sex and sexuality.
Right.
And
I even want to say,
Those.
like, that the first places that a child experiences what pleasure is, is in their body. They're not making any mental connection to pleasure in that sense. Every
Mhm.
first experience of a baby's pleasure, like understanding of pleasure,
Yeah.
is through their body. Yeah, that is why
Yes.
at the slightest discomfort, they scream, they howl, they make it hell for you, to be around them
Yeah.
because they want their body to be satiated. You get,
Yes.
so it's not it's not
Exactly.
it's not too far away from the fact that, what if you just said that the body has been pathologized, because what children go through that they call childhood, and as a parenting, is teaching children to be scared of their bodies, teaching children to hate their
Mhm.
bodies, teaching children to
Yeah.
pathologize
Yes.
natural movement of their bodies.
Movement. Yes. Exactly.
And
And
also,
then that begs the question: what is the goal of it?
I don't know, to present what they call society. Because all I can think of
Yeah.
right now is just
No.
society,
Why would
society,
they
society.
present that kind of society? Like, the thing, in my head, I'm like, who is so low thinking to think that that's what society is? Like, think about again. Oh, if you pathologize the body, how do we operate without a body?
Exactly. I think it's also
How do
that,
Homo sapiens operate without a body? Like, it's such a contradiction, yeah?
yeah,
Because we pathologize the body in our conditioning. If you look at the societal conditioning, the body is so pathologized that the intelligence of the body is negated to a very large extent, that the body is treated like an object of what's that thing? Something of inconvenience.
yeah,
Like,
always an
what the hell,
afterthought.
this body that is
Always an
exactly that
afterthought.
this body is just stressing me out, and now I have to take care of you, dumb bitch, and all of that. The pathologizing of the body. And I'm asking myself, why would they do that? We can't operate without a body.
Could that
I
also
mean,
be a
it's not
form
that
of
we cannot
control?
breathe deeply,
Could that also be a
but
form of
but
control?
the other is, to what extent is the control? But if you look at it deeply, it's not everybody's body that is controlled.
Yeah, obviously.
So now let's talk which people's body are controlled.
In what sense?
It's something like that's what I'm saying. Like, if you look at it here,
Mm.
the goal of pathologizing the body and negating the place of the body. Meanwhile, the body is the driver. The
Yeah,
body is actual driver. We need the body to function in the so-called Homo sapien society.
yeah,
Since we don't even have enough infrastructure to transcend nothing, to transcend the physical yet. Therefore, we depend heavily on the physical. And in order to function physically, we need a physical body.
right.
And yet, the wisdom and the intelligence of our body is pathologized. Therefore, we cannot trust the body. But the question is there any animal in the animal kingdom that doesn't trust its intuition, its body?
I don't think so. If you don't trust your body, you're going to be
No,
eaten up. Like, you'd literally be
exactly. It's
consumed,
not
like you'll be
healthy.
destroyed.
Yes, exactly. I was watching this documentary about tigers. That tigers, the equivalent of the palm of their feet and hand, when they press it to the ground, they can feel the vibration, the pressure, and everything, and that determines how they move.
Hmm.
So if you block that thing for them, they cannot access their environment. But
Wow.
and is it not part of their body?
And they have eyes,
I
oh.
think it's
They
not part
have
of.
eyes.
They have eyes, but they still rely in the combination of those things. It's not just the eyes, because they know that if you are using only one sense, it might not give you accurate, picture. So they rely on all the senses. Animals rely entirely on all their bodily senses,
Yeah, they
and
respect their
somehow we
body.
don't. Because the wisdom of navigating the physical environment or the physical world is entirely the work and the responsibility of the body. The body knows before the mind knows.
Right.
And then if it's pathologized, negated,
Mm-hmm.
that means someone wants to tell you what to do. Very, very strong.
Yes. If that's just the answer. If that's the answer that King was looking for, to be honest, that is if you like immediately if you said that thing, guy, my head just sparked. Like, yes, yes, yes. There is a third party. There
Yes,
is an
there
overseer.
is now a third party. And you know the
Yes.
funny thing? The funny thing is that that third party is afraid of the body. We can actually say that.
Yeah. Something that you
The
seek
third
to control
party
in that manner,
is
you're definitely
definitely,
afraid of it.
yes, the third party is definitely afraid of the body. That's the thing. And that's why the third party wants to control the body externally. But you know now, it doesn't look like control because a lot of people don't realize how these layers, play out. So they think they are
Yeah.
the ones.
Yes. So this makes so
They
much
think they are the ones.
sense.
And that's why sometimes when you do something that brought your body so much pleasure, now you remember the voice of that external actor, third party, whispering to you, I'm going to deal with you. But if that third party is not going to do anything, the goal of the third party is to keep that guilt going. Because if they can keep that guilt going, they can control your behavior.
Ah, this is perfect. This is perfect because this is perfect to King, like perfect to me in the sense of say, you see that the thing entered our linguistic, it entered our language. I think every culture
Yes,
has what they call
yes,
guilty pleasure. Every culture has what they
yes,
like, they experience full bodied shame while also experiencing pleasure in the same vein. You get, and
yes.
in some ways we all express it that even the shame, like the feeling of the shame is what is enhancing the pleasure at some point. You get, and that is
Mm-hmm.
like I think that is where addiction comes in. You get, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of like addiction is treated as like an illness. Yeah, it's not something that you magically will away. It's something that you treat. Yeah, but like addiction, to
Mm-hmm.
my understanding, yeah, it comes from this place of say, um when you need help, you need something, you get, you cannot do
Mm-hmm.
something, and then either you need something, like, yes, addiction is coming in the sense of you need something or you want something, and then you punish your body for wanting it, you get, and then you get that you
Mm-hmm.
now get stuck in the cycle of continuously punishing your body for wanting something. You get, the
Mm-hmm.
want,
Mm-hmm.
all those coping mechanisms, like in quotes, all those drugs people take, all those substances they consume, or the food that they
Mm-hmm.
eat, the
Mm-hmm.
different forms of addiction that exist is punishment. I
Yeah.
think to me, it's like I'm not making the connection well, but it's like it feels like those things you take, you know, to that people will say, if somebody will look at you baseline and say, oh, you're addicted to this thing, you're addicted to overeating. Like those are the things, those are the ways you use to punish your body for wanting. You get, but
Mm-hmm.
like the want
Mm-hmm.
is so marred in shame and guilt, that
Mm-hmm.
you feel relief when you punish yourself. You feel
Mm-hmm.
relief when you punish yourself. And again, I think when people go to rehab, the first thing they help you to do is they want you to come to the point where you can look at yourself. Like look at your body, look at where you look at yourself. And I feel like that can also be traced back to how children are taught to deny their realities. Like a child will literally be telling you, I don't want something or I want something. And the best thing the
Yeah.
parent can come up with is ignore it, deny it, pretend it's not
Yeah.
there,
Mm-hmm.
pretend you don't want
Mm-hmm.
this thing. They don't give you a way
Mm-hmm.
out of wanting something or a way to satiate your wanting. And instead of coming to terms with that, making helping the child come to terms with that, they they teach the child denialism.
Mm-hmm.
They teach the child denialism. You see, and all
Mm-hmm.
those denialism, all those ignoring is all to look away from your body. Like don't look at
Mm-hmm.
your body, don't look at your body, don't look at your body. The
Mm-hmm.
first thing you learn in church now, Sunday school, in children's school, is that the flesh, the flesh, the flesh, because we are children, yeah. So we're children. So they'll be like, the flesh, the power of the flesh, the devil speaking to you through your flesh, your flesh, your flesh, your flesh. So as a child, you see that a lot of religious kids, like kids that married in religion, become adultified, over time. They they feel like they have to ignore their bodies, they ignore their wants, and while also becoming adults in their bodies.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say this thing, but like while also becoming adults in their bodies, to soothe their parent too. Because I feel like that thing of somebody's looking at you, the third party, in this case is religion, is their God, yeah. So the third party, and children cannot process an invisible God. So who is the God in this case? Their parents. Do you get? So I think it's very convenient how the church controls children, or not church, but religion controls children and teaches them to conditions them to deny their body by imbuing them with shame and guilt and all of those things, just so that their parents will have an easy go at not parenting them, basically. I feel like that's the thing, you get, just so that it will be easier for the parents to not parent them.
I mean, this one now, you're even discussing it from a point of, say, there is a level of awareness of what is happening. But I won't say that there is actually no awareness,
That is
at
happening,
least
yeah.
from, this idea that all of this, because what you describe now, you're describing it from the person who understands that this was constructed. This is not
Okay,
natural.
yeah.
You get it? You've just described it that, see, guys, this was constructed. And I see how it's passed down from parent to children and then continue from their children to their children to their children to their children, which is absolutely true. That means we can trace it back. That, let's say, the first parent that existed, whoever existed before the first parent, this thing was done externally to them, was given to them externally, right? And now they passed it down to their children, At some point, it was forgotten that it's a construct that was made up. And now it just starts to look like a natural phenomenon that just happened. It's automatically going, even when they don't pay attention anymore. So, but for me, if I look at addiction, I say addiction is a story. And that is a very simplified way of, for me, saying it from my own perspective. That addiction is not just one thing. Addiction is telling you a story that has persisted for a long time. And it's not even just about the behavior or the abuse of whatever substance, whether it is food, whether it is drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it is so-called sex, whatever it is. It's like, I want to look at it from this perspective, that addiction tells you something. Yeah. So what did they say addiction is? When did they say something is addictive?
When you can't go about your normal life without it, like you can't go about your daily routine.
When you can't go about your normal life without it, and when you can't control it anymore, meaning that you cannot control sort of not having it. You need that in order to even make sense of your living.
Yeah.
Let's not go far. Let's not go far with the drugs, let's stay simple. Let's start with coffee. Coffee addiction.
Right.
What does the story of coffee addiction tell us?
Also notice that people call coffee addiction. Like when they say coffee, they call it their guilty pleasure too. Also note that a lot of people describe taking, their own specific coffee orders like a guilty pleasure. So that let's also note that it's also in line with this idea of guilty pleasure. But continue.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're looking at something like, addiction to coffee, that it means that like the person has to take several cups of coffee in order to be functional per day.
Just finish. American Cola, Pepsi.
Like
400. 500.
Okay, so when we're talking about coffee addiction, we're saying that the person needs, a couple of cups.
Yes.
To remain
Hold on.
functional.
brief or the break in transmission. Sorry. But continue. It was talking about addiction being the stories that is being said. Like it's a story that they tell themselves or you tell yourself. So I'm talking about coffee.
The story of the body.
Okay, the story of the body.
Yeah, it's the story of the body. I want to look at it from it's not from the extremes, but the very simple one, like the coffee addiction.
Yes.
Yeah, coffee addiction. So when someone is addicted to coffee, we say the person cannot, go about their normal day without cups of coffee.
Yes.
Okay. Then, in the spirit of the story that the body tells, why do we think that? It's because the person can no longer stop. The person cannot stop taking coffee. The other thing is that they don't have the will to stop, or they don't have the power to stop taking coffee. But they forgot that part. They forget to ask the question of what does the coffee do?
Okay.
The coffee is serving a purpose. There is a reason why the coffee started. Like the coffee did not just one day up and the person just started to take coffee.
Yeah.
The person started to take coffee for a reason. Yeah. There was something going on in the body, on a bodily level, that the person started to take coffee, right?
Yeah.
So maybe now they discover they started to work, maybe the person is working in the morning and discover that they are not able to be present, and not just any type of present, because now when you say the person is working in the morning, you will be wondering what the person, for example, is working in the morning, they have to wake up, get ready and travel like 30 minutes to 1 hour commute to the workplace. When they get to the workplace, they're not just expected to sit quiet by their desks and just do their work even in their sleepy state. No, they are expected, whether this expectation is spoken or unspoken, to be active, with that smile to your co-workers. Good morning, everybody. How was your weekend? How was this one? To be present in the meeting, to perform to a very large extent.
Yes.
So there is this type of, so now this person is not even fully awake yet, but they have to do all this performance. It's impossible for them to do it. You even hear them go like, don't talk to me before coffee, because they are very cranky. But the thing is that crankiness is not a type of weakness. It's like an evidence by the body. That person is probably not supposed to be awake at that time. Yeah. Maybe because they are not a morning person, or maybe because they've not had enough sleep, throughout the night, or maybe because they need more rest because of accumulated, stress or chronic stress, or maybe because that particular day they are going through something, maybe emotionally.
I see where you are coming from. Yeah.
You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
That there is a reason. There is a reason why the person started to drink coffee. The coffee serves a purpose. Even because some people now, they don't even know anymore. Like they've lost the reason why it started. So they can't trace it back to the original first day. There is a first time of taking it. Yeah. That it had impact to them. It impacted them. It helped them solve some problem that had body, impact. Yeah. It's not just a mental impact. It had a bodily impact. They felt something different in their body. It held the weight of whatever it is. It reduced something. It made something easier. It gave some kind of pleasure, and it made them understand more. They could concentrate more. They could, in fact, maybe forget or remember, or it did something. And now it means that thing that he did, or the reason, okay, as we continue with the coffee, for example, now they took it the whole of this week. They were able to, go to the office, participate in the meeting, do all of those performative greetings, and, put on their mask in this environment. Now, it is 2 months down the line. they are still doing it because they are still taking coffee. Why? Because the environment persists. That thing that is the reason why it persists. I remember that in this case of coffee, is an external environment that we can actually point at, pick. We can pick factors within the external environment that the coffee supports the caffeine in it, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now suddenly you're telling the person has is 10 years, the person can no longer do nothing without coffee. Now you want the person to stop coffee because they are now addicted to coffee, and maybe because now coffee somehow is affecting them badly.
Addiction because it is working for the body, and the body has no qualms, and the body is following that thing, and then all of a sudden you start to look around, look at it. Why are you? Oh, I see that thing. I actually see that thing.
So like, when we're looking at the addiction, we're like, oh, you need to stop it because now this is, they only speak about addiction when they say it's now harming the body. Like this thing now you are doing is now harming the body, so you need to stop it. And then I always ask the question, what do you replace it with then? Because you don't stop something in a vacuum. You did not start anything in a vacuum.
I think
it started with something.
that's another thing. Sorry, I think that's something that people always say, that you can't just get rid of an addiction. You need to replace it with something else. That one is a given model for treating addiction. Like you have to replace it with something else. It can't just be empty.
Yeah, I mean that's at the beginning. It's like the beginning stage of addiction when you start to, instead of villainizing the addiction, it's better you come from a softer perspective of saying replace it with something. But that's only a shallow part of the addiction. The deeper part is what exactly caused that thing. What is the thing that made it possible for that other thing to be made? You get it? What is the base on which the addiction was started? So now let's say now for this environment, for example, with this coffee one, you mean that after 10 years, you are still not okay without coffee. You get it? You're still not okay without coffee. Yeah. And then maybe you try. You have not seen people who do decaf, who replace their caffeine with decaf. Yeah. With decaf. And they are not normal. They are still not okay. Yeah. They who don't get it, they will sit there with their very strong will. They will go for 1 month and they're celebrating 1 month. Before you know it, they are back to it again. So the question is not just about taking out the so-called addictive substance, but is what is the factors or the things that made that addictive substance necessary? So we'll start to question, this person, it means that going to the office in the morning, we have to find a way around it. Is it possible for this person not to go in the morning and go in the evening or go in the afternoon?
And then you see that when that same society comes in and tells you no.
Yes. Exactly. You see what I'm saying? So you say, okay, how about the person does not go to the actual office? Maybe if the person works from home, for example, so they don't have to perform all of these, greetings and see if it will reduce this. And if you get no on all levels, how then do you stop coffee?
No, and now let's
imagine that. Okay, let's imagine that then you stop coffee and go to the office. You are sleeping in the first 3 meetings. What does that say?
No, that you're not a serious person.
You say what I'm saying. So we like to really go, stop all this addiction, stop all of this addiction. It's not good for you, it's not good for you. But we're not asking the real part of the question. Why did the addiction start? Or why did that person begin taking it? Because it didn't start in isolation.
Funny enough.
And the thing about sorry, let me finish this thought here. Yeah. So if you look at the thing about replacement now, replacement doesn't exactly solve the thing because that thing remains. It's saying take a less harmful one or prolong the harm. Instead of it killing you in 2 years, replace it with something that will kill you later in 10 years.
That one too is another aspect.
If the body is not awake by 8 o'clock, if the body does not wake by itself, you get it? If it does not, it has not clocked in by that 8, for example, 8 a.m., 7 a.m. and you have to wake it up. What does it tell you? You're already confusing yourself. Like you're saying, hey, you have to wake up by 7. I can't do anything. But it's like, no, not time yet. I need you to sleep because I need extra 2 hours to finish the repair I'm doing. The body does not just, I just want to make you sleep and keep sleeping, keep feeling sleepy.
I die.
You know,
You're going back. Hold on, I'm coming. Alpha. Sorry, love.
mm,
So you're saying that the body says like, okay, the body needs time for repair, and it's not just saying, no, I just want to sleep for sleeping sake, that kind of
yeah.
thing.
The body is not just saying, I want to sleep for sleeping sake. There is wisdom in when the body just, shuts down. Like, the body is like, no, this vehicle needs some maintenance, some repairs, some things. Because the body is deeply intelligent. I'm telling you that the body is not just a biological substance. The body is something like, you can say maybe biomechanical, I don't know, electrical. It's a complex machine. It's not just a machine, it's a complex entity. The body is a complex entity. I'm using the word complex because there are many descriptions. It's both biological, it's mechanical, it's electrical, it's energetic, it is
And I
hardcore,
agree.
wired.
I agree. It is a complete.
Right.
It's complete by itself, full of itself, and it's
It's
complete of
complete by
in and of
itself.
itself.
So
Yes.
exactly. And it's self-sustaining. The body is self-sustaining.
Yeah.
So when he's like saying, when he's making the person maybe drowsy, sick, or tired, the body just wants, guy, chill. I need to pick something. I'm doing something here. Stop interrupting me. And then we go like, no. It's 7 o'clock. I have to go to work. Now take this coffee. And then we knock off that signal. We go like we shut down we shut the door. Bam! Keep everything back to where it
Yeah.
is till I come back. So
Yeah.
even if we replace caffeine with something else, we're still not listening to what the body is saying. We're not in partnership with the body. So therefore, instead of dying in 2 years, we're prolonging, maybe we'll die in 10 years instead, or maybe in 5 years by this whole idea of replace it with something.
Yeah. And
But
funny
the
enough, another thing, yeah, some people say replace alcoholism with sex, so they become sex addicts instead of whatever. But like, what I want to say is like another thing is like at the end of the day, when we talk about addiction, yeah, we act as if we as a society now, we act as if addiction is something that you know your body just you just felt inclined to need to do. Like when people say things like, oh, like you have a DNA, like you have, like addiction is in your genetics because your parents were addicts, yeah. And it's like they now create this thing as if, oh, it's the fault of the body for needing this particular pattern of behavior to continue to exist, you know. But like the thing about it is like you see that the society that has created this narrative about the body being susceptible in quotes to addiction or addictive substances is that the same system that created that narrative is the same system that created the narrative of never listening to body in the first place. So now the body is the one that is at fault for making you an addict, or for housing this addiction gene. Basically, do you get what I'm saying? Like like the villainizing of the body goes like 2 layers deep. When you are born into a family and let's say your parents is one parent is an addict, the doctor tell you, or you go to mental, like, yeah, doctors, they tell you that if your parents are they're addict to something, there's a chance that you also might get addicted to something. Like you have like you are susceptible to addiction. Not everybody's susceptible to addiction in that sense, but you're highly susceptible to addiction than the regular person. And you now start to be careful that, oh, I don't want to be addicted to something. Meanwhile, the truth is that your you just have a pattern, or your generation just has a pattern of never listening to the body in the first place. So when you don't listen to the body in the first place, you always find ways to shut the body up. Denialism, goes back like 2 layers of it. You get like, okay,
Mm.
there's this fictional situation where this man in a movie is saying something like, there's this movie I watched from, this show I watched from, and there's a
Mm.
character in there named Jim. And Jim
Mm.
had this moment of anger with his wife and his kids, I think, where I think it's his wife. And he was very angry
Mm.
and he was like, he's never going to like he was very angry and he walked out. You get it was a heated argument.
Mm.
So he walked out to a bar
Mm.
and he was talking to a man that I met at the bar. And the man was like, oh, just have a glass, cool off. Well, like, something, eh? When I
Mm.
was like I was a child, my father was an alcoholic. And
Mm.
he really suffered under that man's hand. So when he grew up, the
Mm.
moment his first child was born, you get, he
Mm.
went to the bar, he ordered a tall glass of scotch, and he looked at it and he
Mm.
promised himself that he would never take alcohol in his life because he would never want
Mm.
to put his children through the hell that he went through as a child under an alcoholic father. Do you get?
Mm.
But
Uh-huh.
look at what we're talking about where he's discussing this thing after having a
Mm.
hard time listening to his own wife. And this man and his
Uh-huh.
wife, they were on the verge of a divorce to the extent where the children did not have, like, that when parents they don't want to get divorced and then the life becomes hell for their children again. So like
Mm.
either ways, your child is still suffering from an unresponsive father.
Mm.
Do you get?
Uh-huh.
At the end of the
Uh-huh.
day, your father used something to shut what his body was telling him. Do you get?
Uh-huh.
And you too,
Uh-huh.
you see that even if you don't take alcohol, you are still, it's not as bad as your own case was, yeah, but you are still
Uh-huh.
perpetrating the same kind of pain, not the same in the same like level or gravity, but
The same
you're
way.
still perpetrating the same kind of pain in the sense of an alcoholic father is not present. An alcoholic father is not going to um hear their child out. Okay. So like
Mm.
you that you're not alcoholic, but you're always fighting with your wife, instead of you to get divorced, you had problems, something happened in your family, and the children believe that you
Mm.
people are going to get divorced and it's tearing them apart as well. And people are pretending you don't
Mm.
see that children are suffering under the weight of people's indecisiveness to get divorced. You get? And it's like at the end of
Uh-huh.
the day,
Uh-huh.
and if you see the child is his child is that so-called first daughter, she's sulky, she's angry, she's mad, she screams at them, she walks out
Mm.
on them because they are not hearing her, they're not seeing her too.
Uh-huh.
And it's like
Mm.
the same thing your father refused to do, which is deny his
Mm.
body, is the same thing you're also doing,
Uh-huh.
which is also denying your body. Because
Mm.
if you want to get divorced from your wife and you are denying it, do you get,
Mm.
just to stay together,
Uh-huh.
but your denial of the
Mm.
divorce need for you people, you are using it to now torture your children.
Mm.
You get that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So like, what are we talking about
Uh-huh.
here? So like it's not
Uh-huh.
like say addiction is this like spontaneous mutation, yeah. It might lead to
Yeah.
spontaneous mutation of your genetics, you get, because of how deep denial
Mm.
in your body, I think, re-engineers your body, your tissue cell, your DNA. You get that
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. You deny
Uh-huh.
your body so bad that
Mm.
it re-engineers something in your DNA and it passes it down to the next generation. You get, it's possible to
Uh-huh.
an extent, yeah.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, it's still
Yeah.
coming from the same place of will you listen to your body or not?
Mm.
Do you get? And if your
Mm.
father did not listen to his body and he used alcohol to shut his body up, do you get?
Mm.
To use alcohol to
Mm. Uh-huh.
shut up what his body is trying to tell him. You too, you got to the point where you are
Uh-huh.
using anger to shut your, because that's
Uh-huh.
kind of like his thing. He's a hothead, you know, and it
Mm.
flares up easily. So
Uh-huh.
it's like you're still using anger to shut your body up.
Mm.
Because when you are angry, you don't hear
Uh-huh.
anybody. You're not hearing what your body is saying. You're not hearing what your body is saying. Talk
Mm.
less of what your wife is saying, how your children are feeling. You're not seeing any of it. Do you get?
Mm.
So everything
Uh-huh.
it can still be traced back to that not listening to the body and being in partnership with your body.
Mm.
I don't know if you feel is
Uh-huh.
getting that kind of scenario. Do you get? It's like your
Uh-huh.
father had
Yeah.
issue with alcoholism, was an addict. You made the choice not to be
Mm.
an alcoholic.
Mm.
But you are still perpetrating similar harm that your father perpetrated onto you, to your children.
Yeah. That's the thing now. Like, is that thing that we're saying that it's not just when people hear about addiction, they go like, "I'm gonna remove or replace it."
Yes.
You get it? So the idea of removing and replacing it, that's what the people is saying, that it's not just about removing or replacing it. It's actually understanding it. Because if you
Yes.
understand what gave rise, or the place in which that so-called addiction is
Occupies.
coming from,
Yeah.
yeah, if you understand, if you can see it, then you will know that it will not just be about replacing or not. So, for example, replacing or not indulging in that thing. It will simply be ensuring that the actual factor that is the source of that thing doesn't by itself, manifest.
Right.
So it's not. I think that the issue is not about the solution to addiction. We tend to stay very superficial and go like, just replace it, remove it, don't do it, so it doesn't go down. But that's not all there is. That's why I say that addiction is a story told by the body. The body is telling a story through addiction, and you have to listen to the whole story to understand it, and then decide. They then decide and see how
So it's just like, and in this place now, we now have to ask ourselves, where does pleasure come in? Because, like, when you are talking about treating about, when you want to like start talking to somebody about addiction and its treatment, people will say, why are you being treated, don't take the thing again. Me, I'll say continue taking the thing. Do you get? Continue taking the thing while we're trying to figure out what story is being told by your body. Do you get? Continue taking the thing,
yeah.
but now at least that we're trying to listen to your body for the first time in a while. Let's leave you to continue doing that. Do you get? But that's the problem that a lot of people have, because if you say, "Oh, I don't want to watch porn again, I don't want to drink coffee again, I don't want to drink alcohol again," and it's like, stop taking the alcohol then to show that you are serious. And it's like, no,
I
I don't
think
know,
that
like,
it would depend now on different individual cases. For me,
actually,
I would say
probably.
there shouldn't be like one size fits all. It depends on each person and where they are at their journey, the impact of the so-called addiction so far to their
Okay,
health,
that makes
what is
sense.
at risk, what is at risk here.
Yeah,
The approach, I think, should always stay
based on the
considered by the
individual.
body. Yes, it should stay with the individual, like based on the individual. But I think that if we are going to look at the general lens, is to first of all realize that addiction is telling a story. It's the body. The body is talking. Not just talking, the body has been talking. So that we understand, the type of work, the work needed. That is not just to stop something, and it's not just to replace something with something, but it's more of understanding. It's a lot of commitment actually to understand the place in which all the things the body have been saying.
Hold on. No, you don't have this child out. Those ones those ones have phased out. Type C. It's off. So you want to buy, because your rice finished. Okay, your friend, I mean.
Hmm.
No, I know that. Not good to others. You got to go and buy it by yourself. Not even tell me, sef. The last, I think the last one I got was from Jumia, but that was in 2024. But that one was 2024. You have to buy your normal big charger. You even got this big power bank. Because he sent me the picture. How many volts? 2,000. 20,000. It's okay now. No one can ask you for 2 days. That's good though. Everybody is just using power bank, power bank. Those people too that are importing power bank, they are making money. Okay, you just sent me money. Okay. I want to even be making notes of your payment and your whatever you buy so that I'll not forget. For that, yesterday now, it's that 200, that's 1.5. Everything is on fire. We calculated it. That chiki chiki is very good though. Eh? No, me, I'm just saying chiki chiki as a brand. It's good though. Chiki chiki is good as a brand. Though. I used to be skeptical about it, but it's even better than Indomie sef. Is it not the one you used to buy? Is not the one you used to buy? The brand you used to buy. I know the brands are different though. Indomie is Indomie. Let me see the chicken chicken. It's the one you used to buy. How many? I don't chop bread. This morning. That bread now, last night. I don't finish it though. Okay, you finish it. I swear. The bread is actually filling now. It's nice. I didn't even know that. I thought they would even be one bread from where? Amen. You don't give me big egg that night. No. It's a lie. It's big. I'm just in my friend. Go select the big one. I just laugh. And this is the charge. What happened? It's your call. It's your call. I hope your call is not. I call it. Yes, yes. Yes. Breaking intermission. People. Ah,
Yeah.
sorry. Breaking intermission. Breaking intermission.
Yeah, I think we should come and maybe we should be rounding up already. Are
Yeah,
you almost
we
done?
should. Yeah, we should be rounding up because we've talked a lot about the guilty aspect of the guilty pleasure, but we've not really combined pleasure. You get. Yeah, we kind of just did an intro to like guilt, shame, where it's coming from, the impact on our daily lives, and um, we've not really touched on why the connection between guilt and pleasure, if any,
Yeah.
how it's contradictory. I feel like we need to leave that for another episode.
Yes.
Yeah, but on the next episode, we're going to talk about a show. Let's talk about a show. And we're going to talk about the polygamist. We're going to talk about the polygamist. And we're going to discuss it at length. At length. And again, I feel like in these conversations, I feel like we can watch a movie together, you know, and use it to illustrate, our conversations about whatever we want to talk about together. Like if we're talking about guilty fun, guilty pleasures, what kind of shows what kind of show can exemplify that? You get the contradiction of guilt with pleasure, and how it doesn't really make any sense, you know so that I think we can connect to a broader audience that might have seen that show or that might be interested in the story, all of that and all of that. Yeah. So there are not a lot of people on the conversation that are just like saying hi, 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 you know. But like I don't feel like they're like people stayed on, you know. And I don't know if it's network or something else. Yeah. Amen. Let me just come forward. Let me hear your voice. Why would I come forward? Come forward. Did you hire the night man? I can see you pretty strong today. Huh? Hey. 1,000. Yeah, owing me 100 naira. Yeah, owing me 100 naira. You see? No, give this one to me. Let me give you 100 naira. I have 200 naira. I thought you said you dashed to me. Me, dash you for what? You told me you wanted to give me something of this new year. No, I didn't say that. Day you've seen me this year. I never said that to you. Okay. What day is your birthday? July. Why? You can't run away from me. I run away. You're pregnant. I'm trying for you. You can't run away from me. You won't believe what I put for you on your own birthday. Okay, I'm excited. No, I'll ask for this. I'll ask for the days when I'm going back. So that day I'll just kidnap you that day. No. Don't sit happy as beg. Stay at home that day. Ah, God. People, service workers, they are trying, I swear. They're trying. If service work is the pit, man, is the pit. Oh God. If service just when King used to hear people talk about service work, it's always like, wow, but even it's incomprehensible. It's literally incomprehensible. Well, whatever. So we say we talk about the polygamist and we like research on a show, like supposed to just maybe you pick a show for us to watch this time. Then we watch it, a show or a movie, watch it anywhere we reach. We don't have to finish it, yeah. But we now discuss, you get, you need to exemplify something that I want to talk about, yeah. I feel like it'll be more, livelier. It's not like this is not lively to King. King is very, 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 very like that epiphany, yeah, where it's like it's for other people, there's somebody else that's controlling you as well. Also, I think it also gives you when you can sit on your high horse and be like, no, this is bad. You should feel guilt for this. You are also controlling in that sense, yeah. So at the end of the day, whoever you think is doing something bad, yes, even if you think somebody is doing something bad, for you to be able to sit somewhere and say you should feel shame or you should feel guilt for it, to get, you are acting as an external body, are acting as an overseer, you get, and you think you are doing by calling out somebody's guilt and shame or for a particular behavior, thing you think you are doing, you are also like putting yourself to be judged, like not judged, I don't use that word judge because people is but you're putting yourself to be also shamed or guilted because I don't know, like participating in it, makes you part of it in that sense of it, it's kind of non-ending. Guilt and shame will always perpetuate guilt and shame. You get, guilt and shame always perpetuate guilt and shame. So to not, so I think the thing here is to not play the game at all. You get, don't play the game at all. I feel. I feel. But anyway, King, and if we continue the conversation offline.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Is there any question? Or we can.
No, we can call it. We can call it a day.
We can call it a day.
Thank you so much for being here, love.
You're welcome, darling.
Kisses. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.